explore the science of pop culture as we see what's real or unreal. Are holograms real? For years, science fiction movies have been promising us the reality of 3D real-life video holograms. Even the greatest movie of all time, Star Wars, has shown us a world in which we can have holograms for use as something as fun as holographic chess, or something as vital as discussing the future of hope with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yet here we are, and I don't see any holograms. How come? So let's start by discussing how we actually see anything at all. Objects emit photons from them. They emit them in all directions. They travel on forever until they hit something. And occasionally, visible light photons actually enter into our eyes and strike the back of our eyes or our retinas. There, they're received by specialized cells called rods and cones. And these change those visible light photons into electrical impulses which go into our brain, and our brain interprets that as an image of an object. In theory, if you could just generate the photons, you wouldn't even need to have the object there at all. And that's the idea behind a hologram. Scientists began working on holograms back in the 1940s, but it wasn't until the advent of the laser in the 60s that we were able to actually be successful in creating them. Now, laser stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. And what a laser creates is something that we call coherent light, which is light of all approximately the same wavelength, which is all in phase with each other. This means that we can have very bright beams of light and put a lot of energy into a small concentrated area. So the way you make a hologram is pretty straightforward. Start with a laser beam. The laser beam goes and hits a beam splitter. Now what the beam splitter does is it gives us two identical beams. This is a reference beam, this is an illumination beam. The illumination beam goes towards the object and it hits the object and it scatters, and we get this kind of wave scattering that we collect on a photographic plate. This reference beam, which is exactly the same as the original, then travels towards the plate as well, and you get this image of the interference pattern. Now, the thing that makes this work in terms of a hologram is once you've developed this plate and you've got that original pattern on there, you can generate a hologram by blasting that original laser to it. By striking this plate, it then generates that waveform that goes to your eyeball that looks as if it was the object up there. And that's the whole theory behind it. You get this virtual image, this fake image that appears as if it was actually there, just by looking at the waves that come off of this plate. You might assume that these are actually difficult to make, and they are. You've also probably seen video moving holograms, or things that you think are video moving holograms, notably Tupac. These aren't true holograms. They're just done with hundreds of year-old seance and carnival techniques, projecting images onto slanted pieces of curved pieces of glass, or projecting video into mist. They're not true holograms that just exist and give you that three-dimensional image. But don't give up hope. Last year, a company called Light Field Labs unveiled this technology called solid light, which actually allows you to have a true hologram. Solid light uses digital tech, a nanoparticle polymer fused surface energy relay, and a complex phase guide modulation surface to generate true holograms in 3 dimensions. The prototype holograph Chameleon Cami is exactly that. It's a moving video hologram where you can walk around, you can see it move in 3 dimensions, and there's nothing there. It's just projected light, projected photons that go into your eyes. And with backers like Samsung, in the near future, we might actually see holographic projections on our phones.